In today's video, we're going to look at the world's best tennis juniors and 9 things that you can teach your players in lessons to improve their level. I've been really busy over the last couple of weeks going to different tennis tournaments. I've been to the Grand Slam at Rolland Garros watching the world's best juniors. I've been to a Tennis Europe Category 1 event at Roehampton. I've been to a 9 and under grade 1 event locally as well. I've seen the best juniors from under 9 all the way up to Grand Slam level. But what common traits did I see with these juniors that sets them apart from the rest? In this video, I'm going to share with you the 9 secrets. The best players are hitting their big serves, setting up their forehand, and they're letting rip of it. Now I'm seeing more and more tennis players with huge shots. Years ago, the counter puncher was king. Get the ball in, don't make mistakes. But the game is now evolving, it's becoming much more of a power game. If you want your best players to become even better, you have to develop their weapons. Number 2, the best players take risks. They're unbelievably brave, they have such big heart. In tight moments, the best players are hitting big shots, they're going for lines to change direction. They take huge risks, they don't play safe. A big difference to those lower level players, when things got tight, they start to be quite defensive and quite cautious. Not the top players, not the winners. They were going for the big shots, they were setting up the big forehands. If you want your players to reach that next level, you're going to have to teach them how to be brave. Tip number 3, they have to be masters of game management. What I noticed a lot was how aware the players were of momentum. Best players, when they were on top, they sped things up between points, they kept the pressure on. When things were slightly going against them or they made a mistake, they slowed things down. They really utilised the time in between points. I find this fascinating because a lot of juniors, when they play, especially when I watch the under 9s, they play point on point on point and they just go into the next point without any real thought. The top players are very tuned in to the flow and the momentum of the match. Do they apply pressure when they're on top? Do they slow things down when they're behind? Tip number 4, unbelievable focus and concentration. The best players are unbelievably focused. You wouldn't know they had a very partisan crowd watching them. You wouldn't know what was happening on the court to the left and right of them. They were so focused and so tuned into their match. They were almost hypnotized by the environment. They didn't let anything distract them. A crowd noise, a ball from the other court. They were unbelievably focused and calm. I find this absolutely fascinating, how tuned in they were to the game. Great players don't just need good technique or good tactical skill. They have to have this unbelievably focus and concentration during matches. Now, concentration is not lost, it's just misplaced. But these players did not misplace their concentration. They were absolute, almost robotic when they played. Number 5, wow, athlete. So we talk about the head, the heart, and the athlete. But the top players are unbelievably athletic. Not only are they powerful and strong to generate those big forehands and big backhands, but the speed and the agility is off the chart. Their footwork was unbelievable. It was very interesting at the under 9 event because the better players were the bigger, taller, quicker, stronger players. Now obviously at under 9 you can have a difference in physicality even within the same age group. But even when we got to Rolland Garros and we watched the best junior players in the world, the better players were definitely the more athletic ones. Number 6, unbelievable lower body strength, especially in the men's game. In the boys event at Rolland Garros and at Roehampton in the under 14 Tennis Europe event, the better players really utilised their kinetic chain, using their legs to drive up off the court and generate lots of power and lots of speed and spin. If you really want to develop a good, strong, athletic player, especially once they go through puberty, we have to engage that lower part of the body more. A lot of power comes from the ground, it comes from the legs. Now, at under 9 level, you're not going to have that because they're still developing. But we can start to incorporate elements such as balance with the under 9s, making sure they can hit from an open and closed stance. If you want your players to reach the top level of their age group, we're going to have to engage the lower body just as much as we are the upper body and the racket work. Tip number 7, this is for the female game. A big difference between the male and females at Rolland Garros was the females were very much anchored to the floor. They really got nice and low and really had a low athletic base. Compared to the boys who drove off the court, the females anchored themselves to the baseline and really played quite low to the court. lower base really give that low center of gravity, so the girls could really load up and tee off with some very flat shots. Tip number 8, especially for the boys, the art of angles. Wow, the amount of angles I've seen the boys play. The boys really broke that inside tram line. They were hitting more angled shots, drawing an opponent off the court on both sides. Again, this was quite interesting because the females played much more down the centre of the court. They didn't quite break the outside lines, but they did hit to the corners a lot more. Where the boys used a lot more side spin and a lot more work around the outside of the ball to create the space. Very interesting. Very few players just hit the ball down the middle and counter points. They were always looking to be proactive and make things happen. Again, a huge piece of advice from me: make sure your players are proactive, they make things happen, they're not reactive, they don't wait for things to happen. This was a huge difference between the better players and the lower ranked players. Tip number 9, it's now becoming an all-court game. The best players at under 9, under 14 and the junior Grand Slams, they were all-court players. It wasn't just pounding the ball away from the baseline. Players had unbelievable touch, drop shots, serve and volley. Serve and volleys back even on the clay at Rolland Garros. Serve and volley on big points, 40-40. The best players weren't afraid to come forwards and mix it up. That was a huge thing for me to witness. The best players weren't just belting the ball out from the back. They were mixing things up. They were brave to come forwards. They were almost looking for opportunities to come forward, even on the clay. If you want to produce a world-class tennis player at any age group, you're going to have to develop an all-court game now. Look at Alcaraz. He's not an aggressive baseline like many people think. He's an all-court player. He can mix it up. He can drop shot. He can come in behind, take control of the net. He can serve volley. Maybe we're leaving a generation of the aggressive baseliners. We're now moving into a power generation, but of an all-court player. And there you have it. They're my top 9 observations and top 9 tips of how to produce a world-class junior. As always, if you found value in this video, please hit subscribe and the like button. And until next time, I'll see you on the court soon.